Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our space. Not your keys, not your crypto, know your place. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keita, Lady K, and Opti. Dip a toe, come ride this wave. Digital wealth, we're here to pay.
Crypto nights, we're lighting a spark. As we ignite now, we're setting the mark.
Safety first, we're keeping it tight. Blockchain power, we're shining the light. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keita, Lady K, and Opti. Dip a toe, come ride this wave.
Welcome to Digital Ladies Unscripted, the show where we talk about digital assets from a lady's perspective. I'm Melissa, and I'm here with my beautiful co-hosts, Keita, Lady K, and Opti. How you guys doing this evening?
Excellent.
Man, this is going to be a great show. We have 19 people in here already. We're gaining ground, ladies. We're gaining ground.
Look at that.
Tonight on Digital Ladies Unscripted, we're talking about wins, the big ones and the small ones. It's all about perspective. Crypto and digital assets are bleeding right now. There's a lot of people sad. The charts are ugly. The FUD is loud, and most people are wasting these downtimes panicking. They're doom scrolling. They're going to kind of getting caught up in all of that. They're panic selling like they got paper hands. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This exact moment is where legends are forged. The real winners aren't crying over red portfolios. They're using this time wisely. They're turning those painful losses into permanent lessons, and they're stacking small daily wins like knowledge, discipline, conviction, and actually building while everyone else copes. And so because this has been such a tumultuous time right now, I thought it'd be perfect time for us to talk about this. What are you guys doing in this downtime, where prices are low and the average person is like, oh my God, I'm getting out of crypto. I'm selling all my bags and whatever. But there are those of us in the background that we're like, hey, we're happy. We know what we know about certain ones that we've chosen, and we're doing our own research, and we're stacking our bags, and we're educating ourselves. We're teaching ourselves about blockchain, the law, the administration, all of these things. This is the perfect time to do that. What do you guys think?
It absolutely is. When the actual market is down, this is time to buy.
Right?
This is a buying opportunity for me. I don't know about you, but it's a buying opportunity, especially if you're really steadfast in your convictions, and you've done your research. You know what you've invested in. As with any stock, you don't do this with stocks, right? Unless you're looking at it, as a penny stock. Well, if it's a penny stock, people are going to do that, right? But if it's something like a Coca-Cola, or something that you use on a daily basis, Nabisco, or like these different stocks like that, people aren't doing it that way with that. Not at all.
No. I used to have a boss that used to right when those apps came out, where anybody, like just the average person, could create an account and start trading stocks. And I remember hearing stories of like the people that were really invested, that knew what they were doing. They were pissed because, there was guys coming in there moving it when they didn't know what they were doing. I can't remember what it was called, what trading thing he was using, but I remember he spent a lot of his time on the computer when he's supposed to be doing his work, doing his trades. It wasn't Robinhood. It was something earlier than that. This was years ago. And I just remember, people saying like, they don't know what they're doing, and, all this kind of stuff. But what do you guys think, Lady K and Amanda? What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I mean, it's not the first time it's been down. It won't be the last time it's been down. I mean, like crypto, like stocks, is a cycle. It's going to go up and down. So, I mean, like I'm sure everyone knew this when they went in, so like you just have to hold until your exit strategy or your exit plan, and then just ignore this type of thing. I mean, it's like crypto's volatile, right? Like the swings, like, ooh, most people can't handle the swings. It's probably best not to look at it. And if you didn't invest more than you can lose, then, you should be fine. Like you shouldn't, be worried watching it. Like, and the stock market does the same thing. You know what I mean? Like you put it in there because you need time in the market. And that's my strategy, is time in the market. So this is just the down cycle of my time in the market. So I'm not
I
bothered.
like that thought process right there, Kristen, because I think that's super important to really kind of put that verbiage out there, time in the market. You know what I mean? Because I know I always say, hey, like you don't treat this like a 401k. You get time in the market in a 401k.
Yeah. What do you think?
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think, Gabby?
What you think?
Well, if you're somebody like me who's building a business on the XRPL, it definitely changes how much the income has come in, And so for me, it's been like, I have like, it's the middle way, right? So I have both sides where it's like so painful to sell the XRP, like more XRP to come see my magical internet friends. And like I joke that, these trips coming to see y'all are going to be the $1 million trips of the future. The lore will be like, Opti spent $1 million going to meet her magical internet friends, but at the same time, like, the dream has always been accumulating as much as possible before it goes up. And so for me, it's just like, thank God it's not too far up. We're like, we can get this, the Wandering Home directory done, and we can start onboarding. We can start getting more people into the ecosystem, and hopefully have them buy memberships and accumulate more XRP, where like the higher it is, the less, the value of the membership is. So it's like a little bit of both, and I always like to think like that, to allow for the flow, and that like any amount that goes out will come back. And, it's hard with the NFTs too. And, when you're trying to support your fellow people and you're spending a certain amount, but it's a lot better when it's a lot cheaper, like 5 XRP isn't so bad when they're only $1.50, when they're like $2 or $3. Obviously it's a whole other ball game. So, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, but like, as you know, like I'm just building, and I'm excited about what's happening. And like I'm sort of excited about it being low and having the Wandering Home directory back. So, giving a few more people who are starting to see what we saw all those years ago a chance, so that's sort of my take.
I think it's super exciting. I don't know if everyone kind of look, I know you guys probably do, but the average person that are starting to dip their toe into this whole thing, this is such an incredible opportunity, because we are early adopters of this digital asset space. They're creating laws and taxonomies and, legislation surrounding it worldwide, all across the world. Yeah. And when you get into the digital asset space or crypto, whatever you want to call it, blockchain, Web3, you start asking those questions about money that you normally didn't ask before. A lot of us, we invest in our 401ks or whatever plans that the company has put us into. We might be able to pick the stocks here and there or whatever, but for the most part, we don't give it much attention at all. And therefore, we don't give attention to the ups and the downs and the swings and all of the things that are out there, the people that are kind of controlling that whole animal, right? But when you get into crypto on a very small scale, you have the opportunity right now to participate and kind of understand the flows of this. Like Lady K said, this goes up and then it comes down and it goes up and it comes down, and you start to ride that wave a little bit as you're in the space. And when you go a step further than just thinking price only, like I'm going to be a millionaire next week, like it's going to moon and I'm going to whatever. You start to look at the fundamentals of what you're being invested in, what is the basis for your decision of the things that you're investing your time and energy and your money into. And then of course, like if you're like Opti and you're building a product, or Kita, you're creating your real world business with tokenizing it, through the NFTs and that sort of thing, you start to look at things even deeper than you did before, and you realize what kind of a thing we're involved here, and it's just a perfect opportunity for us to grow our knowledge about this space.
Yeah. And I think we are. I think, well, I'm not going to say everybody is. I'm going to say we are. I know we're looking to see the new things that are coming along, and we're listening to the people like Mr. Man, and we're looking at court proceedings and dissertations that, or depositions that are happening with the Senate and the Congress, and I can be very honest and say I didn't do that before. I wasn't watching what was going on with the government and how it affects me and what that looks like. I wasn't doing that.
Nope.
I wasn't listening to Senate hearings where, people are being like confirmed. I wasn't watching that.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I have watched the government and the financial system in a way I've never watched it before either, right?
Same.
And it's interesting when like back test everything, right? You go back and you look at things that happened in 2008 or things that happened in the 80s crash and like compare it to like what's happening now. And it's like, wow, like there are patterns here. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even notice it then because like I was 20
right.
going up to the bar and I didn't care. But it's, yeah. So I've learned a lot too. And it's, yeah. Oh, and I look at it as event based, right? Like not time based. Like I'm not going to like buy crypto and in 1 year, it's going to be like times X or 2 years or 5 years. It's like, as the events lay the path work, then it's going to go up in value. And like one major event that I always said was regulation. We're halfway there. We need the Clarity Act and then we're good. We've got the rules of the road. Another event after that is going to be like mass adoption. You know what I mean? Like people, like institutions have to start using it. They have to start creating the interfaces that are just like Web 2, where people are using it without realizing it, because we are not going to onboard the world into digital assets. It is too complex.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. It's going to be when it's in the background so much that people don't see it. That's where your adoption is happening, because, it's going to be like just interwoven and into everything, and everything that we have to do or need to do. They're going to have, this blockchain and all of the different tokens and the ecosystem just interspersed with that, I feel like. And people are, as you just said, people are not going to realize they're dealing with the blockchain, and they are,
Well, until you actually get people, have the systems built out where people are just kind of ushered in and they're just using it, you're not going to get the mainstream adoption that we all want. But this is about the opportunity that us early adopters have, and if we're educating ourselves on it, and there's different things that are coming about that, if you get on the ground floor of some of these things, it could end up being very fruitful. And so, as you're looking, like, you don't think all of a sudden, well, some people do, because there's those influencers out there that are like, it's going to moon tomorrow, and like, we're almost there. And people get all caught up in just the price. But when you zoom out and you expand your thinking and you look at the world as a whole and the economy as a whole and the way in which we transact and banking and all of the things that are connected, you realize, like, if it does moon, it's probably going to go back down, right? And so, over the years, I've had friends, they've taken a lot of risks, right? Where they know the game. They've seen it go up, and they've bought on the way up, and they've bought on the way down, and they sold on the way up and sold on the way down and whatnot, because they know the cycles and stuff. Now, I do believe that some of these coins are utility coins, and so when they actually do, when they are implemented for real, I don't think that those types of cycles are going to be as dramatic as what we've seen here in this adoption phase, or like we're the beta tests, I guess, is what I always like to say. It's the beta tests, and where we're just kind of learning about it. But if you do your homework, and then you think about things logically about your life, like what do I need to be self-sufficient in the future? How much time do I have? Those are going to be those questions you need to ask yourself to figure out what should I be looking at investing in, because some of these things, they might be 10 years out, right? But that doesn't mean they're not going to hit. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be there, and you could be picking some of these things up for like pennies on the dollar, right? And is it a risk? Yes, but you could go out and spend a couple $100 on a fancy meal and dinner or a concert, hotel room. You could spend $500 easy in a weekend, and you could buy yourself a little bag of something that you believe in and just forget about it.
Right.
And that's the thing too, is like when we go into a bull run and things start running, like, and it hits numbers we haven't seen, that's not even the full potential, right?
No.
Because one project might run more than another because of like sentiment or, but another project, it might need another 5 years, or, what I mean, to really build up and get its value. Right. So like, you gotta know fundamentals are important. Don't invest more than you can spend, and give it time. Stock market's no different. I mean, it's high right now, but I do feel like it's going to crash. I talked about like all the indicators. We see all the indicators, so like I would be scared if I was in the stock market right now.
Yeah.
I mean, no different.
And it just depends too. Like so the interesting part is how we talked about, in the past, we haven't really given it much attention. So you put your money in your 401k and you just assume that it's going to be okay. Right. And if you put yourself in the do it for me, you've got fund managers that are like kind of helping balance that out so you don't lose a ton, right? They're able to do that. But if you got bold and you started picking your own investments and you did it yourself, you could actually screw yourself big time if you pick the wrong thing and you aren't giving it attention. So it's like, hey guys, if you're going to go in and pick your own investments and say like your 401k, not financial advice, guys, but I'm just saying, you better be giving it some attention, because there's not anybody going to have your back to go like, you need to move your stuff over. We're going to move this over here. So it kind of cushions that loss. And so it kind of stays balanced and whatever. But with this, with crypto, you pretty much, there's no sissies. You're responsible for your own stuff,
This ain't for the weak.
This ain't for the weak.
This ain't for the weak at all.
The faith of heart.
Yeah, man.
I will say this though, and this is one thing that I'm really kind of excited about. And you guys have known, like I've been a partner of I Trust Capital for quite some time now. And I opened my account and I was able to, open my crypto Roth IRA, and that I just got an email from them a couple of days ago. They now offer RLUSD, and with the opportunity to actually earn, like, it's only like 2% or whatever, but this is a game changer, because if you're able to put your stuff, if you're able to manage your assets, and they got a whole bunch of them in there that they offer now, if you're able to manage your portfolio within the crypto Roth, there's no tax involved and whatnot. Now, if you move it into RLUSD, I think there will be, after, if you're earning like
yield on it.
Yeah, like
only if you pull out, right? Oh, well, no,
no. There's still a game. It's still a game.
Yeah, you're right. Well, you know what though? If it's
because you prepaid the tax, and I don't believe there's a capital gains tax.
No, there's not. There's not. So I
Oh, you're talking
misspoke.
about
So
RLUSD, you mean?
when you're,
Roth.
well, I'm talking
On
about the
Roth.
RL.
Oh.
I'm talking about the RLUSD part of it. So actually, now that I think about it, because Roth is actually tax free, because you're putting it in after tax money, it grows there tax free, which is why I put it in. My thoughts were, I guess, as long as the RLUSD can be within the Roth, then
Mhm.
then it can be moved over into RLUSD, still be making 2% interest within the crypto Roth is what I think. But what my play was, if you were somebody that wanted to kind of teach yourself how to do this, right? Like how we just talked about people that are smart enough, they have a little bit of money and it's going up and they take profits as it goes up because they know it's going to go back down. If you could take that profit and move it over into RLUSD, let it park there in a safe, controlled environment, earning 2%, it's not sitting off dry powder with no earnings, then take that money as the price comes back down, boom, you buy back in. You're just constantly able to stack your bags as you're in your crypto Roth, which it, for me personally, in a controlled environment like that, that's why I opened it, because I do want to try things like that. I just don't feel like I have the time to devote doing these DeFi protocols that are out there where you're able to go in and do that kind of stuff for yourself.
Mhm.
And you know, given the fact that they're allowed to have RLUSD there and actually give you an earnings of that is pretty fantastic.
I have a couple things to say about that,
Mhm.
specifically with Roth. Okay. So I didn't realize this, right? But like Roth is after tax. So
Yep.
5,000, you paid the tax, on the earnings, and then you put it into a Roth. It gains. There is no capital gains tax,
Zero.
right? With Roth, you can pull out what you've put in, and then you have to be of a certain age to pull out the gains, right?
Well, actually, that's not so. It you have to
Then
have
what
it.
is
You have to have it for 5 years, okay,
There's
before
some
you get.
rules.
Yeah, there are some rules. You have to have it for 5 years. You have to be like 55 or something like this
Okay.
before you do it. Before the 5 years, before that, you can pull out what you put in without any tax
Well, that's what
implications
I
at
said.
all. No big deal about that. But you can't pull out the gains before the 5 years.
That's what I said. Yeah. So, um, so I thought you were saying you had to wait 5 years to pull out what you've put in.
No, the
Okay, that's what I said.
gains.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So
gains.
if you do an IRA, so you don't pay the tax on like, look, this is a nice little tax incentive. You don't have to pay tax on it. Put it in an IRA. And then it gains, and
Yes.
5,000 went to 50,000. Guess what? You're taxed at 50,000, not 5,000. Like you have like 5x your tax, just like you 5x your money or whatever X
Correct.
it was.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me. Like if you are thinking about keeping a small bag for the future or whatever, like Roth would be good. And if like in these moments where you're looking at like, okay, we might go down. If I Trust Capital allows you to put in RLUSD, like flipping it to RLUSD, now you're not in the market, so you're not worried about going down and earning 2%. So
100%.
I think
It's a major play. It's a major play, Lady K. And this is something that I know quite a lot about with both the traditional and the Roth IRAs. The reason people put money in the traditional 401ks or traditional Roth IRAs is, and they used to really sell it hard too. And it's really unfortunate because a lot of the people that advise folks, they say, oh, you're going to save the money now, right? So you're not being taxed on it now. But and then the thought is when you're older, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. Well, if you're doing it right, you're not going to be, because our hopes and dreams is that we're going to be way out there. So if it comes to crypto and you're picking the right winners, you're talking about a hefty gain without being taxed whatsoever, without having to worry about all the other stuff that people worry about, protecting themselves from capital gains and all of that.
when
So
have they ever lowered tax?
I'm just saying, right? I mean, and they've had these around for a really long time, and there's income limitations to it and all of that. But there's things called backdoor Roths, and there's all kinds of ways that you can actually participate in these things. And I highly recommend people to look into them because, I mean, this is the kind of research during this downtime, during this volatile time where everybody's like sad, they're losing money or whatever. This is an opportunity to open a crypto Roth because the prices are down and there is a maximum amount that you could put into a crypto Roth every year, right? And so I think this year it's like $8,600 into a crypto Roth that you could put in if you're over age 50 or 50 something.
And that's the value of 8,500, not the actual number.
That's the money. That's the money.
Okay.
So the lower the price is, the more
The
that
better.
you're going to get, right? So
The more you're gonna get, yeah.
you want that price to be down right now. Now so it's like these kind of opportunities, this kind of research that I would encourage people to kind of look into because it's a major play. It's a major, or even if you have like an old 401k sitting out there that has money in it, you forgot you worked somewhere, 25 years ago, and it's got like 3,000, roll it over into one of these things, like there's so many things that you could be spending your time rather than panicking about losing money and looking at your crypto bags and going, what am I doing? If you learned about what you've invested in, these are opportunities, my friends.
Absolutely.
These are huge opportunities.
I would agree to that.
Mr. Zam. Yeah,
Yes.
and there's never there's just all kinds of things, but I was really excited about the fact that they offer RLUSD now because they didn't before. And then what about the all of the assets that they listed specifically recently that are considered commodities, which gives much more clarity. And so, like when we were talking about, being worried about something being deemed a security, right? When we're creating all these projects, like Opti, you're creating your project, being worried. When you actually have more clarity, the taxonomy on these certain things, that's going to make it a lot easier to navigate, wouldn't it? For you, I mean, how do you feel about that after you saw that news come out? Did it settle some nerves at all, or
Validation.
Yeah, I mean, it just like you just said, like it's like sort of like hopeful. Like, I mean, my first question was like, so what does it mean? Does it mean that I don't have to worry about the things that I'm building? Or I don't think it does yet, but it definitely was interesting for me being like the girl that I always was like followed all the rules, and then I didn't, and then now I'm trying to, like follow as many of the rules as I have to, kind of thing, to keep, and I always go back to the conversation I had with Lady K about, how validators validate and like consensus. And I had this thought of like, wow, Ripple really figured out some like basic things that could be used, like could be blueprinted, right? Like just like how a group of people reaches a consensus, and all these things. And so then I go back to like, the conversation I've been having with Grok, or like, so how did Ripple do it? Like how is it a company and then also has this, and how did they pay their people out in XRP, and how can I replicate that in my own ecosystem, and those kinds of things. So yeah, I finally, and then they always said like that their argument to the SEC was, we've been trying to comply, you just haven't given us the rules, right? And so, I've sort of tried to like embrace that more, and like just been like, I was always afraid of getting to the point where I didn't have the information and I was moving forward. And so now having more and more people around me that are like doing their part to do the research, to sort of come back to me with like, okay, this is what we know so far, and like you can make your choice from this perspective, has been really helpful. And like you guys said, like the more clarity, the more you can navigate it. Like I don't like rules, but at the same time, like
gotta have them.
You gotta have them. And that's, that's sort of been my take on all of it for, years, is that like, I think one of the psyops is try to burn it all down, and I think that that's not the way to go. Like, the justice system works if there's justice, like if the evil is getting put in jail, like I'm all for the justice system. If the guy who had an extra drink with their buddies, or the guy, worse yet, somebody who posted, I don't like my prime minister or my president on the internet gets a knock on the door. Like, we got some problems, there are bigger fish to fry here. So, like, I think that, and I also go back to like the Quantum Party where, they want to create a human rights, bill of human rights for the Web3, and like, it's a perfect example of where the rules are important. If the rules are, government was always supposed to be created to protect the consumer. That was why they were there. And so the fact that, like, I heard you guys had a war about a 2% tea tax a few years back, and now you're taxed like 40%, And like, I don't know if we didn't have the Civil War, we've just been like, gradually, implementing this 50% tax plus, everything else has a tax, and like ultimately you're only bringing home like 10% of your actual income after you do all the calculations and all the taxes you actually pay. I got a serious problem with that. But at the same time, like, it's the fine line of like, how do you build a legitimate business inside a system of a bunch of people who would, cheer on their own slavery system? And how do you prove yourself legitimate? While also maybe not approving of the rules that you're having to abide by, but also wanting to be in the eyes of like, the normies, legitimate, because they'll come after you with everything they have if they can, and that's sort of why I've been trying to for years as I've been going through this. Like, I remember the first year I did my taxes with my business, and I had actually made a little bit of crypto. I had sold NFTs and got, for my memberships, and that was last year. But the year before that, I think I'd like had like a few sales or, something like that. And I remember getting like really nervous, like, how am I going to do this? And I just was like, well, that's why you're doing it small. That's why you made less than $1,000. You're going to claim that. And then you're going to, the following year, maybe it's 5,000. You're going to claim that when it comes out of the system, and it gives you, I don't know about you guys, but doing my taxes stresses me out. At the same time, like, I do them to stay up to date. I'm not in a position where I feel like I can fight that system. Thank you very much. I'd love to hear that the United States, there have been rumors that they might get rid of your income tax, which would be pretty amazing. And then there's, a few rumors of some of my magical internet friends saying that, like, they would potentially sponsor me and James to come to the United States. So I'm like, well, that's exciting. Like, never even occurred to me.
Who said this? They would sponsor you?
Pardon me?
I love that.
Who said they would sponsor you?
Well, I will not divulge the information.
Sorry. Okay.
It was brought up recently that, we could work it out for James and me to get to the States somehow and work and, get a work visa. So, and it never even occurred to me. So yeah, if I moved to the United States and you didn't have taxes, that would be incredible, but at the same time, when I'm doing when I'm planning for like the XOM token right now, like, that's been the big thing up in the air, and just like how to navigate. It was sitting on the ledger for 2 years because I was too afraid to move forward and didn't want to get myself into trouble. And then sort of having to like pivot in terms of like, you can't promise something for something. And, if like anticipation of value, even though I always say like there is no guarantee, like, I don't know if I could get into trouble. And so right now I'm trying to like, look at different ways of sort of pivoting around that. But whenever I've done the calculations, I've always sort of put aside, 50% of what goes in the treasury for a little wallet, just in case, they come after me and they want the taxes. So, yeah, it's really nice to, when I heard that, I posted it everywhere. I posted on my TikTok. I was like, hey, this looks like it's like more clarity, and I was hoping through the SEC thing and like Ripple coming out positively that would end up relaying into our other things. But obviously, like, we don't know until you guys get the Clarity Act. But then Canada is just like, we don't have this Roth IRA, I don't think we have anything like that. Like, I think the government just keeps all your money and then they're going to sell it to the highest bidder. And right now, as far as I'm concerned, every single person in Canada is not going to have a pension. Like, that's my hypothesis at this point. They're basically put us into like complete bankruptcy and they're giving away the pension. So, if anybody out there knows of something like a Roth IRA for Canadians, like, I would love the opportunity to start, saving up for my retirement at 43, like, damn, son, I don't know what I'm going to do, but that's why I'm in our XRP, and that's why I'm building the London footprint, because I'm like, well, I don't need your pension plan and your plan for my future. I'm going to build my own
pension,
pension plan. Thank you very much. So, but yeah, I can't, it's fun to hang out with you guys, but yeah, like, there's definitely, there's a huge difference between the progress that Canada is making versus the United States in terms of crypto and in terms of encouraging, the citizens to better their future financial situations. So I'm all for clarity, and, US being a hegemonic power, I hope that it all trickles out into the other systems. And I just hope that the wandering footprint becomes the thing that I have in my head, and I don't have to worry about any of this thing. Because, like I always said, if I'm making $4 million, take my $2 million, whatever. If I'm making $30,000, please don't take my 15, like, I can't survive off 15. And so that's the difference for me. And that's sort of how I've played it this whole time. So, but yeah, I mean, there's progress, there's movement, even though these candles are low. And, I went in, I was like, how much would a plane ticket to LA or to Las Vegas cost in XRP? And I was like, ooh, that's painful, So yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm excited to see y'all in Las Vegas soon.
I'm so excited.
It's going down. It's a meeting of the minds again, so especially since we were there last year. And now we get to have Lady K as well this year.
I'm so excited to have the four of us back in the same room again. And this time, we're taking pictures together on the first day, not trying to do it on the last day.
We're gonna do
and
it.
maybe
Getting sick. Nobody's getting sick.
That's right.
We're gonna do it on the first day, and I definitely think we should try to do an hour somewhere in there where we're not waiting till we're exhausted. I know the last time we wanted to do it update on the last 4 days, and just, I know it sucked that we didn't get that opportunity. So I think that we're all exhausted at the end. And while it's nice to do a review, I think maybe just talk about the anticipation might be a better strategy this time, but we'll figure it out. And I'm excited about just the energy field, and I'm excited about pitching the Wandering Home directory again this year, but this time, having the directory to show, all the people who won above me, who got placed higher, other than IMU and TextRP, the rest of them didn't really have anything to show.
It was concept only.
It was concept only. And so that was a big eye opener for me, where mine was also concept only because I had lost the app, so I'm excited about that, and hopefully that'll pay for my trip.
Let's go.
One thing I wanted to talk about, we have 20 minutes left. Another thing that we can do in the downtime is, of course, Chris Dangerfield's course. You could be sharpening your toolkit with how to protect yourself and navigate in this space, whether you're into crypto or not, just even learning how to navigate, because they're sending all kinds of crazy text messages and emails to everyone, whether you're in crypto or you're not. You need to learn how to protect yourself. And he's created such a wonderful course for people to learn, and it's study and learn at your own pace. And then of course you have everyone here that is has access to it, to bounce questions off of and stuff. What do you guys think about that as being a useful thing to spend your time on during this craziness?
I think
we need to do it together.
That part too. But I do think it's super important because, especially those new people that are coming into the ecosystem that really are not privy to the same things that we're privy to. We kind of have seen a lot of this happening to people around us, if not to us, right? Yep. So we're kind of, I think, more hyper vigilant than somebody that's brand spanking new coming into the ecosystem that's not aware of all the shenanigans, that can be happening, in the ecosystem. So I think that having that toolkit would be really, really important to have, especially the way that Chris, Dangerfield has laid it out, and also made it an audio book as well, so that it's not even a situation, if you're not a person that's a hands-on, you can have it in your car playing while you're rolling along to work, or listen to a couple of sections while you're on lunch, eating your lunch, and it's just playing in the background, so you kind of at least get that into your psyche, the things that you can be looking for. Or if you hear certain words or usage, then you can say, okay, that's what this is, and that's what this sounds like. And shout out to the 116 people that are in here watching this show. Hello. That's a beautiful thing.
That is a beautiful thing. I would say, one of the things I've been trying to figure out is just like I talked to Melissa about, like somehow, integrating the token in like the education systems. Like for the Wandering Home Directory, I've always wanted to have like a welcome package, right? Like an onboarding package, and like to reward people for doing things that make them smarter and, educate them in these things. And so I've been thinking, like, I wonder how we could have some kind of system where, like, maybe it's not included, but that would be amazing if I could figure a way, like how these things he's created, can be included, or at least have a discount for members to encourage them, or they could earn, tokens or footprints or XOM or something, to incentivize the people that I'm onboarding, that might have nothing. And because, that's where the Wandering Home Directory started. It wasn't in blockchain, and my original group have no idea about blockchain. So it was me learning and trying to pass along the information. So yeah, shout out to Chris for doing what he's done. And I really, really do want to do that with you guys sometime. And I just don't know when we ever have any time to do it.
I think it's amazing. And no matter where you're at, I mean, you could be like, okay, I know all the scams and I'm super safe, but you can still level up your security. You know what I mean? Like even somebody who's not, there's the brand new people that will click the wrong link or enter their phrases wrong. And then there's people that like know the absolute do nots that can still level up their security. But also just like learning how to use the blockchain, because if you don't learn how to use the blockchain on, like, you can absolutely send a transaction on your own computer without any wallet, provider or interface, right? And if you don't know how to do that, you will forever be stuck with having to use another interface or having to pay for another interface. Like in the beginning, we talked about these institutions making Web 2 like interfaces for people that don't want to learn about crypto, right? So what's funny?
I'm frozen again, damn it.
You're not anymore.
True Ducal. He says, is Melissa frozen, or is she really just not blinking at all?
And then you came, but then you came right back, like right after I posted that.
I've been posting and doing stuff, and I'm watching. I could see myself, and I'm like, oh, it's doing it again. I lowered the stream to 720. So they're working on my internet. They're like, has to be. I'm really mad right now because this has been happening in the last couple of shows, both on Digital Ladies and then on Dippito last week, and now it's happening again. And they've been doing work on our internet service, and I pay for really good internet. I have a new computer. This should not be happening.
You, Melissa. It's happening here too.
Oh, is it happening? So maybe like
this morning in the space, I got kicked out like at least 6 times. Easy.
You guys aren't freezing with your face like the one last week. It was like I was like totally embarrassing. But whatever.
When I saw when you were talking, sorry
to happen to me.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Lady K, but like when it came up, because it kept happening, and I was like, because last week when it happened, I thought it was me, right? And so then she called me and she's like, oh my gosh, it froze during the show. And we were talking about it earlier. And then I saw it starting to happen again. And then when I saw the thing, and then she came back and she laughed. And so I was laughing at no, she's just really good at not blinking, just so you know.
Yeah. Well, I told Simon last week, I used to practice to be a ventriloquist when I was little. And so I also was like a mime where, Cartel.
No,
Multi-talent.
I was just saying that blockchain is true decentralization. You can transact and nobody can stop you, but not if you don't know how. If you don't know how, you're stuck on a user platform that can cut you off, liquidate you like the exchanges do, charge you fees like some wallets do, or just not work right or give you everything that you need to do, right? So what can you do during the downtime? You can learn how to use it. That way you can actually use the decentralized permissionless blockchain on your own without needing anyone else.
Well, and this is full circle back to the very beginning of the conversation, right? Where like when you were talking about mass adoption, you know, and you guys all had said that, you know, there will be a point where like when people don't have to worry about those things. And I, you know, I kept unmuting myself, but there just wasn't a time. And what I was going to say was like, yeah, when the banks have your seed phrases, like, yeah, that's about the time when, and, you know, I remember when they had a new flag that they had created in Stellar. And it was a way for a parent wallet to create a child wallet and put the deposit down and then have control. And I thought, oh, that's what the banks will use. That makes sense, because eventually they have basically full control. They can freeze your wallet, like they can stop everything in your wallet because it's a different kind of flag than just being a parent wallet and like, you know, giving the tokens to it. It's like you have control over you basically, how it was set up is that the parent wallet pays for all the transaction fees. So that's how they were going to set it up. So that way you were never sort of stuck without transaction fees. And like, for those of us who've been here long enough, like that's what we understand is that like, you know, I think that that's what sets apart the OGs to the newbies is to understand that like XRP is the rails, you know, so XRP is what the system runs on. And every time you do a transaction, there is a tiny fraction that is burned, which is why it's deflationary. And so, you know, I don't anticipate us, you know, be spending so much money on like, you know, so much money, 5 XRP, you know, on an NFT, or, you know, in my case right now, like 77 XRP or 99 XRP for a membership. You know, one day I was saying to Jonah last night, I'm like, one day it'll be one, you know, in my mind, not financial advice. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a useless eater. But, you know, in my mind, one day, like the amount will shift drastically, and then you're going to really care about that 0.00012, you know?
Yep.
Well, so 14 million has been burned to date, right?
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Wow.
Wow.
It's right now
14 million.
14 million XRP has been burned to date from transaction fees. And
That's a lot.
the lowest amount it can go is 1 drop.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah. So, like, it can't go any lower. I mean, like, technically, if XRP went to, like, you know, Bitcoin, pricing, 1 drop would be expensive, right? But this is where I see, like, okay, if 1 drop was worth a cent, then that would make XRP like 10,000.
If it goes to 1 million, yeah.
And
if it goes to a million,
1 drop would be a cent.
And if you built your whole business and your ideals around low costs, low fees, and all of that, you would guesstimate like what you thought it could maybe go to, you know?
well, and this is literally why I had this hype, you know, when people started saying like XRP would be for the institutions and XLM would, you know, not financial advice, it's just the rumor from like 5 years ago that XLM would be for the people. When I learned that specific data point, and that if, you know, let's hypothetically go in like in 100 years from now, XRP is $1 million, then 1 drop would be $1. And so I was like, okay, well, then that would make more sense that it would be, because on Stellar, it's like, I can't remember, but I did a transaction once and you can do like 13 zeros, I think it was. Like you can go out to 13 zeros. And so it would make sense that for bigger transactions, 'cause like I worked at a Forex company, right, when I was in my mid-20s. And so they were making 0.05% on transactions. So they would undercut the bank by such a tiny amount, but their transactions were $1 million transactions. So they're still bringing in $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a transaction because they're saving the guy, 0.05%, but they're making 0.05% kind of thing. And so if you do the math on that, it would make more sense that even at that price point, like David Schwartz alluded to, even at that price point, if you're doing your transactions and they're huge transactions, that's still a tiny fee, but it would make more sense that something, it has, smaller drops, they're called different on Stellar, but I don't know what they're called, Stroms or something like that. And, that it would make sense because then you could still keep it at a penny no matter what the price, or like fractions of a penny. You could still and then the average consumer that's doing transactions for $4, $10, $30 isn't paying $1 a transaction, That's my hypothesis.
Right now, the transaction fee is 12 drops. And so I just want people to understand, like, that's 83,000 transactions one XRP can do. Now, not if you're paying other fees, though.
Like you're saying, the fees that you get charged when you make that, the facilitator of your trade or whatever are charging you.
Right. I mean, like Zaman, Zaman's charging 90,000 drops. There's 1 million drops. So you're looking at what, 10 transactions?
And that reminds me, is anybody seeing like service fees now? If you look at your transactions,
that's what I was just saying, because they charge 90,000 drops.
So
Minimum.
I do have a question though, because like when I found out you could make your own token, and like we did this, Melissa and I did this, and she made her own token without using, without paying the fees that I originally did. I'm still pretty sure that transaction was 3 zeros and a 1 2, which would definitely be higher than 12 drops. It would be more like 1,200 or something like that.
That sounds right, Amanda.
So I'm curious about that, because like that's come up a couple times, like it's only 12 drops, but like when I wasn't paying the fees / when I made the token, it was 3 zeros and a 1 2. I'm pretty sure it might have been 4 zeros and a 1 2, but I'm pretty sure it was 3 zeros and a 1 2.
Pull the transaction hash. We'll look at it.
Let's do that in the after space.
We'll do it. I did post. Actually, I'll post it again. I did post the After Dark space at 10:10.
I want to add too that there is fee escalation. Okay, so it's possible you got caught up in that, and because as transactions raise, so does the fee, and that is to prevent a DDoS attack, so that it would make it too expensive to attack the ledger. So it's possible to pay more than 12 drops if transactions are higher and the blockchain starts implementing a fee escalation.
That makes sense. But do you guys remember when you had to like have 10 XRP to have a wallet?
Yes.
And that every transaction was a hold of 1? And when that dropped, I was like, what? I was so excited to learn that that's how it works too. So anyways, I was just reminiscing for a second. I was like, oh yeah, you remember way back when? And all those people who abandoned their wallets, and one day they'll come back and they'll have 9 XRP available to them.
Niall says you're talking about the actual transaction fee, not the Zaman service fee. That's right.
Right.
So your 0.00012 or whatever. That's
what's on
the Zaman fee is what Lady K is talking about.
Yes,
so
and that's what I was talking about too, was the Zaman fee.
Yeah, but that's what you guys were saying about the 90,000, and I'm just saying that I remember doing the back office transaction that wasn't on Zaman. I mean, I guess I signed it there, so maybe that's how that works. But I signed it in the JSON file. I signed it in the JSON file on the XRP ledger services, whatever. So it wouldn't have been tied to that.
Yeah, it's not even making you sign the transaction, it's just taking it.
Mm-hmm. Well, this will be discussed further in the After Dark space this evening.
All I know is like back months and months and months, probably like maybe 2 years ago. I don't even know. It's been several years now. But back when I first got in, and I started really investigating about price and drops and, all the things that I didn't understand about the price and, how people were coming up with these crazy numbers coming out, and I remember breaking it down and doing the math about the costs of, and thinking, holy smokes, this could be a reality. Like that was one of the things that I thought, if they're selling their company on being a low fee, and then just us as people could just use XRP, we don't even need them. Like that's fantastic, right? And then that's where it started rolling the ball for me with the businesses and all the things, because you don't really have to pay a lot in order to incorporate XRP into your business and figure out a way to use it. And that's what makes it so attractive to me. Like one of the things that really makes it attractive to me. So taking the time to learn about it now, guys, is like so smart. Like I don't even know if people can wrap their minds around what an awesome time we're living in right now. Like we're going to look back at this time, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line and go, oh my gosh. The cool part is we're documenting our journeys, kind of. So it's going to be so funny to go back and watch these videos later when we're older. Oh, I think it's just so fun. I love you guys so much. Yeah, like I don't want to do a show with anybody else. You guys are fantastic, and it's always a fun conversation. You're so smart, and like you just keep getting smarter and smarter. And, I just love it. I just love you guys.
I can't wait. Oh, sorry, Kita.
Go for it. Christine.
I was just gonna say I can't wait to tell my grandchildren I got into crypto when they would just give it to you. We called it an airdrop. Go ahead, Nikita.
Oh no, this is always so cool because we come into these spaces. We're like, what are we going to talk about?
Not even worried.
And then 56 minutes later, we're like, damn, this conversation could go for another hour. I can't wait to see you in the After Dark space. And then we're in the little in-between space where we chat in the background. We're like, man, I don't want to go to the After Dark space. I just want to chat with you ladies. And they're like, all right, I'll go to the After Dark space.
It'd be cool to like change the After Dark space to a little later, but 10:10 is such like a cool time, it's like perfect. It's caught on. But yeah, and then it's just, we're all so busy, but even actually having the time to be able to talk offline privately together is like, it'd be awesome.
Maybe once a month we say no After Dark space. We're just going to chat the four of us in the background. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. We have to do that while we're in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to have to figure out where we'll talk about it.
I will say this, when I'm in Vegas, I'm all about Vegas. Like, I'm gonna see what happens. Like, I don't know. I might do a replay on Dipito show day. You know what I mean? Because it's on Wednesday, and that's the deal.
And Thursday is the day that we're at the convention too. So it's like,
hey, Melissa, before we go, let everybody know about your giveaway competition about the Vegas live streaming thing.
Yeah, that's right. You guys, so I am participating in, I don't know if I can even, I'm going to copy this link. I'm participating in 68J's event on April 29th. I have access from Dipito Show to give one free streaming ticket to the event. It's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All the event. It's a $99 value. And we're throwing a contest, giving a ticket away to one lucky winner each week until the event. And the post is on the Dipito Show. I'm trying to post it all over. I've got a couple of good entries. But, man, guys, throw me a bone, like create a meme, create a setting, do something, just participate. You have the opportunity to win a free streaming ticket. So I hope that you do. And we got to go. So we'll see you in the after space. Love you guys. See you in a few minutes.
Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our not your keys, not your crypto. Know your place. Unscripted.